Hey guys, unscheduled video today about this whole Ariel Winter breast reduction story. And I'm looking at the Glamour article because this is the one that everybody else is quoting. Now, I'm going to look at a couple other articles, but we'll get to that in a bit. I didn't want to wait until Tata's Tuesday on this because this is a moving story and people are asking me about it on Twitter now. Now, what I want to do is I want to take the conversation away from what the dialogue is on Twitter now. Should she have had the surgery or should she have not had the surgery? And I want to sort of examine the stuff going on in Ariel Winter's world and the world of all women who are in this situation so that people can better understand it before they make relatively uninformed judgments. And I was inspired to do this because of a comment I got. First of all, someone asked me my opinion. And I gave them a quick tweet. And I said, it's sad that a 17-year-old girl is shamed into surgery, at an understandable choice. And that led someone, I made a comment. Someone said, shouldn't we be raising our girls to, continue fighting? And this raising our girls to fight. No, we shouldn't be raising our girls to fight. We should be raising our girls to achieve. And sometimes that means picking the fights that, first of all, you think you can win. And secondly, that don't drain you. And this was obviously draining her. And I want to go over her reasons that she said she did it. And I want to get hello, Binky and Momo. That was that chaos. Binky, what did you just do? Oh, you dropped the mouse. Good job, Binky. But one of the things she talked about was the lower back pain. Yes, and I want to get this out of the way. She was having problems with her spine, all that. This is an issue with having large breasts. I went through it myself. The reality is that you can solve that issue with a proper fitting bra in your size. Now, the problem is that not all bra sizes are created equal. Women of my size, women of the size Ariel Winter once was, she was a 32F, have to pay a premium for bras that fit. Stores like Victoria's Secret, up here La Vie en Rose, those, the department store bras do not sell bras above a double D. And this has been an ongoing problem that companies like Change Lingerie are trying to change. There's a local chain up here called Secrets from Your Sister that started the sort of, it's considered specialty sizing above, below a 32 back and above a double D cup. And so companies like Change, which is a Scandinavian company, I believe, but they wanted to get bras at a reasonable price in malls for women who are, specialty sizes. And it's so silly. The mentality behind, oh, your size isn't something you can buy at Victoria's Secret is absurd. Could you imagine a car dealership going, oh, we don't sell minivans or we don't sell compact cars? If it's not just if you're too big, it's if you're too small. If you're a 30 or 28 back, then you have issues. At my smallest, I was a 30 back and an I cup. That is the equivalent in American sizes to a double F or a G. It's European sizes. So European sizes go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. They don't go double A, B, C, D, double F, and so on. It's just the letter. It makes more sense to me. But apparently, my understanding is they actually changed the sizing on bras because people didn't want something above a D. There was a stigma of a certain size. And my thought is, good Lord, if people's bodies grow that way, then they grow that way. And this idea that there are acceptable bra sizes and unacceptable bra sizes is ridiculous. It's a very silly market issue where the free market is failing. Stores are not selling products in the sizes people require. And a bra is one of those things you just can't order on the internet. You actually have to try it on for various reasons. I wish I could do a video on bra fitting, but I have taken a moratorium on anything involving breasts on this YouTube channel because people made it an issue. People didn't take what I was doing in good fun and saying they're here. I didn't buy these boobs. They grew on my chest naturally. I might as well have some fun. People like to imply I am a slut or I am not a real professional or, I'm just looking for attention because I won't be ashamed of my body. And that has forced me to not interact physically with the world for practical reasons in certain ways. And that's why I want to talk about this, because that's wrong. And that's not really something, don't freak out. This is just a statement. This isn't something that men have to deal with. And that doesn't mean that men aren't subject to fat shaming. Absolutely not. Men are subject to fat shaming all the time, and it's wrong. Unless you're an athlete or unless someone is concerned about your health, it's not acceptable to dismiss anybody, male or female, because of their weight. Just because somebody has a rounded belly doesn't mean they're not healthy, right? If it's above a certain waist size, there are health issues, but that's between a person and their doctor, much like birth control. So, it's not up to people to go, oh, you fat fuck, and all this stuff. I can't stand that. And part of the reason that I am very sensitive about fat shaming is because of the thing that Ariel Winter said. Where is it down here? Where is it? I saw it before. That she couldn't dress. Here it is. She couldn't dress things that were age appropriate because if she didn't wear something form-fitting, it didn't look good. And I went through this as a teenager too. I had the same experience she did, that around, 15 or 16, boom, boobs, insta boobs. And it probably wasn't overnight, but to me it was like, where did these come from? And you do sort of have to choose between form-fitting stuff or looking fat. Because the stuff that you get off the rack is not cut for anybody above a C cup, and it doesn't fit properly. And you see up here, that she talks about internet bullies, and part of the reason that, she made the decision was internet bullies. That she could post a photo where she feels good and 500 people will comment about how fat she is and that she's disgusting. Well, what does it matter if she carries a few extra pounds? Even if she did, she doesn't. She's a beautiful girl. But, what does it matter? She's on a comedy show playing the, older, smart teenage girl in a family. Who cares if she's a little chunky? If she's fluffy, who cares? It would be completely in keeping with the character. And there are plenty of chubbier guys on TV comedy, including that comedy. Cam is no tiny little thing, but they don't get this same sort of criticism. And I don't like this story that it says she's reduced the size of her chest from a 32F to a 34D. That's not possible. Is she adding onto her back? That must be an error. It's probably a 32F to a 32F to a 32D. That's probably an error. But, what we have here is the story of a 15-year-old, you see here, a 15-year-old with size F breasts. And that happens. And it happens more and more. And, she says that she got it for herself. She didn't do it because of online bullying and all this stuff. But when you read the rest of the article, it's all about online bullying. And I can't stress how major the surgery is for breast reduction. It is major. And I'm not saying that women shouldn't get it. I want to be completely clear that women should make whatever choice they feel is right for them. If they're sick of, when going to a swimsuit store and couldn't find a bathing suit that fit, which I've been through a lot. I have to order my bathing suits on the internet and hope so they fit, and she said she chose to have this surgery because swimsuits wouldn't fit. Now, societally, we seem to be okay with women having painful, expensive surgery instead of providing clothes that fit women above a specific size, And the idea that someone at the age of 17 made this decision, and she talks about in part that she couldn't get age-appropriate parts because according to Hollywood, she doesn't look like a teenager anymore. So she was having to go for parts that were 18, 19 years old, and she was 17. And so she couldn't get those parts because she wasn't old enough. It's insane. Here it is. Did you worry that having such a voluptuous chest would affect the acting roles offered to you? It did play a part in that I couldn't play younger roles anymore. So Hollywood was telling her that she didn't look like what she actually was, which was a teenage girl. And, this obviously connects to gaming, and I'll get there a bit. But, she'd be sent out for parts for 18 or 19-year-olds, and why would they hire somebody who wasn't 18 or 19? It's a completely different thing when a minor's on a set. And, they had to change her boobs. They had to hide her boobs on Modern Family so it didn't become a quote unquote, distraction. They strapped them down, big sweaters, everything like that. And these are all very real things. And the question I have to ask is, why? Why? I mean, there are male child actors who get picked on for going through awkward phases, but that's, and that's not fair either. But the question is, why are we so image obsessed as a society? And why are we so image obsessed when it comes to women, and pointedly minor women? She talks here about headlines. Where is it? Where is it? Every article that has to do with me. Here we are. Every article that has to do with me on a red carpet always had to do with Ariel Winter's crazy cleavage, or Ariel Winter shows huge boobs at an event. That's all people would recognize me by, not, oh, she does great work on Modern Family. And I can relate to that. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't joke around with me, because I have massive boobs and there's no getting around that. And if you talk to me regularly and, you make a bit of a joke about it, Mark Kern was going on about aggressive navels and all that stuff. That's fine, because I know that Mark, based on private conversations, respects me as a professional. So he sort of has license to make those jokes, because I know that he's not going to judge me based on my body negatively. It's a separate thing. So the minute you sort of cross that threshold with somebody where it's like, they respect me, I don't have to worry about that. They're not going to not hire me because of this weird social baggage that comes with boobs, and, much respect to Mark for that. Good for him. So we can joke around. The problem is, we should be able to joke around about these things and not have to worry that it will hurt us professionally. And the reality is that it does hurt us professionally. The number of people that make ridiculous issue about my chest when it is absolutely irrelevant to my ideas, other than, when I talk about my experience of having a large chest like I'm doing now, that's relevant. But the size of my breast has nothing to do with my intelligence, and it has nothing to do with my ability to do the job, unless it's something like, mountain climbing or lying on my front on the floor. Those could possibly be issues because of the physical barriers that are my mammaries. I considered breast reduction surgery myself, part because of the back pain that Ariel Winter talks about. And someone said to me, before you get expensive, painful scarring surgery, go for a proper bra fitting. And I did. And so I didn't have the surgery because it took the pain away. I have to spend my life in a bra, but that's fine. My personal choice was to buy bras instead of have a surgery with potential complications. And that was my choice, and I can't make the choice for anybody else. I understand somebody like Ariel Winter making a different choice because her livelihood is even more directly connected to her physicality. And obviously this will not be an issue in 2 or 3 years where she turns of age. And it's easy to tell someone wait 2 or 3 years, hard to do. But and that's the issue of, the fact that I'm really upset that she felt the need to make this choice as a minor, but I'm not going to judge her for that. I support her choice because it was something she felt she had to do. And I'm not going to tell somebody that they have to be miserable for a year, 2 years, 3 years to appease some, philosophical or political thing for me. And I personally think Ariel Winter is hilarious. I love the character she plays on Modern Family. I think she has an excellent gift for sardonic comedic timing. And I think it's very sad that she's not getting her proper due as a comedic actress because of the size of her chest. I relate. I made another choice. I chose to just do parts that incorporated my chest and kind of told, sexual humor and did it that way. I sort of embodied modern media late night power girl where they're here, they're huge, get used to them sort of thing. But it has cost me in the long run where, more than once when there is a professional dispute with someone, it will go to, my boobs will be referenced or something, or it'll be you fat bitch, or don't tell me what to do, you're just a stripper, and this isn't one person saying it, I'm avoiding particular wording to not single anyone out, but some of you may have seen them. And the thing is, whether I like it or not, those insults have power, even though they shouldn't. And the minute someone drops an insult like that, it becomes a massive distraction. Because the conversation immediately shifts from the professional issue of ideas to whether or not they should have said that or not, and whether or not they were provoked significantly to make what is a definitely gendered comment. Notice I didn't say sexist, I just said gendered. Because I don't want to go into that whole sexist thing. And that's the thing, is that women like me, women like Ariel Winter, have to confront this potentially every day of our lives. And it just makes it harder for us to do things that don't center around our boobs. And that's the thing. But I want to show people two things. We'll show one thing, tell another. Because Ariel Winter's story does not exist in a vacuum. And I pulled up the Huffington Post entertainment sort of mirror coverage or coverage of the coverage. And, they picked a photo that made her look a lot bigger than the Glamour article did. And so what? Like, she is a 17-year-old girl. She is. God made her that way, or the spaghetti monster made her that way. More power to her. But what I was very interested by is the suggested for you stories next to this photo. Now, look at, and this is just a microcosm, but this is a neat little test you guys can do on any website you're at. and why I'm going to call hypocrisy on the Huffington Post for this story, because if they really are actually concerned as a left-wing newspaper about the advancement of women, they have a women's section. If they are actually interested in equality in reporting for public women, Huffington Post, I know we do work with you, but I have to call you out on this, okay? Disclosure, my husband has some dealings with the Huffington Post. Might get him in trouble. Hope it doesn't. Because the Huffington Post is not the only website that does this. So let's look down the suggested for you thing. And I want you to look at the way men are covered in these articles and headlines and photos, and how women are covered in these photos. I did not select these articles. These are a random sampling suggested for me by whatever computer is doing HuffPost thinking right now. So we have headline about what a man does, about climbing Everest, and a photo of his face. Headline about what a man does and a photo of his face. Cindy Crawford suing over bikini photos. Picture of her body. Well, it's about a bikini photo, fine. What the ideal woman looks like in 18 countries. Pictures of her body with no heads. Now, folks, this is classic objectification, okay? When you cut off somebody's face in a photo and just make them a torso, that is objectification. Black women call Taylor Swift's new video really troubling. Again, not the same focus on her face as the Jeb Bush or dude who climbed Everest photos. And that's because they wanted her pointing, but still, it's not. Katie Holmes doesn't look like Katie Holmes in a strapless denim dress. Okay, first of all, that's not even news. What did Katie Holmes do? This has nothing to do with what Katie Holmes did and everything with what Katie Holmes wears, right? Janelle Monáe finally bucks the trend, okay? If coverage of men and women were equal in entertainment media, the coverage of women would look like this as much as the coverage of men looks like this. Do you see how this looks more like the men, where it's her face? You are seeing her as a person and an individual, not a headless body or a bikini torso. This is important. And then this is interesting. Anne Hathaway rocks teeny bikini while vacationing on Valentino's Bank. And it's a picture of her face with Bank of America. So people obviously respect Anne Hathaway here because there are other photos of her. Let's click through this and see what it actually is, okay? See, that's clickbait because you don't even see her. And that's why we don't see the picture of her bikini. It's clickbait. But what did they focus on? You see it shuffled again so you guys can... Oh, and it snapped right back. Okay. But did you see how they went for the bikini, right? The bikini. It wasn't Anne Hathaway hobnobs with designers. There's no story there. No, people want to see her in a bathing suit. Okay? And I lost the... As you guys can see now, it's randomly shuffled. All right. There's the Katie Holmes story. And, okay, what's funny is the family that breaks the trend of coverage about men are covered for what they do, women are covered for how they look like, is the Kardashian family. And I find this hilarious. I was going to point this out with a different story, but this one does it better. There were a couple stories in HuffPost Entertainment, if I click through, about, and it's actually what Khloe and Kim, etc., are doing and not what they wear. Khloe Kardashian flies private to see James. Okay, that's at least something she did. It's foolish, but it's something she did. But Selena Gomez wears leather pants for a night out. Who cares? Do we know what pants George Clooney is wearing? No, we don't. But, LeBron James wants a movie to happen. All right, fine. Hugh Jackman... does something. Donald Trump does something, okay? But Miley Cyrus is playing Hannah Montana gave her body image issues. Even though it's her opinion, it's still about her body. Okay? Sharon Stone goes naked in Harper's Bazaar, gets real about being sexy. What about Sharon Stone just gets real about being sexy? No, the emphasis is she goes naked. Could you imagine George R.R. Martin goes naked? No. But here we go. The Kardashians. This is a story. I was like, Khloe Kardashian tells Caitlyn Jenner not to drag Kris through the mud. Kylie Jenner denies crashing her new Ferrari. Shares more bikini photos from Mexico. So you see, even the Kardashians kind of get it, but at least they're objectifying Rob to the same extent that they're objectifying the women. There is a certain amount of, and of course, you know, if you drink your own urine, they talk about what you do instead of what you wear. So I hope I've sort of shown you. And then we have 19 men go shirtless and share their body image struggle. See, again, cutting off the head. But I hope you guys can see here that it's not a question of it never happens to men. It's that it more frequently happens to women. Okay? And this is the stuff we have to keep tabs on. And people are going to say, not that big a deal. Quit whining. The whole thing. Who gives a shit if Reese Witherspoon was once a picture-perfect cheerleader? Who gives a shit? Reese Witherspoon has been around forever. Do we see men were captain of their football team? It's not the same. Christina Aguilera shares topless photo on Instagram. Who cares? Do we get to see the topless photo? If not, there's no story here. Okay? That's implied boob. She looks freaking great, but that's implied boob. That is not, and she probably did that just to get a story, because this is what women have to do to get press. It's very different, Wants to prove there's a space for more women on screen. Yeah, it's topless photos on Instagram. Now, I'm being snarky at this point. But I hope you guys see the point that there is still... see, Kim Kardashian continues to push for gun control. You have to be a Kardashian for the press to care about what you do as opposed to how you look in a dress. And it's one of those things that is funny to me, because I think they are so overexposed at this point that Kim Kardashian in whatever a dress or a bikini or naked or whatever, it doesn't get clicks anymore. They have to focus on what they do. And one could say that while men are visually stimulated, women are visually stimulated too, guys. I mean, who do you think's looking at these pictures of these women? 500 men on Instagram aren't calling a woman fat, okay? They're not the ones calling Ariel Winter fat. It's people who aren't sexually attracted to women who are doing that. It's catty. It's competitive. These images are not for men, not straight men anyway. And, okay, maybe the topless photo of Christina Aguilera was for straight men. That was pretty hot. And there's nothing wrong with being hot. What's wrong is that other than Rob Kardashian, we don't see a stream of stories of women in bikinis or dresses and men in six-pack abs and tuxes. We see what men are doing and then how women are looking. And that imbalance is the issue. Because trust me, if you want to get press as a woman in the media, you do have to go there. To an extent, you have to play the game. And we shouldn't have to, but we do. And there's a bunch of us trying to create a better world for the female entrepreneurs of tomorrow, as well as the male entrepreneurs of tomorrow, by the way. Because if these scales balance, it means, guess what, guys? Women won't be able to get easy press for taking a revealing photo, because nobody cares if you do it other than to make fun of you, and guys get that once. Guys get the inappropriate Instagram photo once, and then people get bored. So there is an imbalance that has to be corrected here. Now, I want to turn this to games, because that's my wheelhouse. That's what I care about. I gave up on entertainment reporting. Here, I'm going to close the window. Boom. I gave up on entertainment reporting for this very reason. And I want to talk about how the war on breasts in video games is tied into the Ariel Winter story, because there are other ways to treat breast-related back pain. There are. I'm living proof. So it was the social pressures, the clothing that doesn't fit, etc. But you know what? I will deal with the clothing issue, because everybody has clothing issues. It's frustrating. Nobody goes into a store and everything looks great, right? The sizing issue is something we could correct. You can get bras in appropriate sizes. Swimwear is more difficult in a regular store, but there are stores. Go to Change, ladies. Go to Change. It's fabulous. But I want to talk about this idea that large boobs are somehow seen as artificial, or not a real woman, or not a normal woman. And the perception that is drifted over to video games, because the important thing about video games is, unlike the real world, they are completely rendered characters from the ground up, right? And that's why it's an issue. That's why this issue is, you've got one female character in a cast of bazillions that has, big boobs. That's going to put off women everywhere. That's sort of the prevailing idea right now. And what kind of message does that send? Assuming, Ariel Winter was a gamer and not in TV instead. And say you're a 17-year-old who's a 32F, and, you want to make a game. Someday you want to make a game. And you want to make a game to tell your story, because that tends to be where everybody starts. Whether you couch it in a different character, a monster, a robot, or whatever. Your early output is talking about yourself. It just, people always start with Mary Sue or Marty Stu fan fiction. That's just how you learn, because you write what you know. And I remember my first RPG character was it started off as a fighter character, but we had a class switch and she became a druid. But it was this run-on joke about the size of her boobs and how they always got in the way. It was me role-playing as myself to try to work out some of those issues. I was sort of aware I was doing it. My Vampire the Masquerade character was a big muscular gangrel with scars all over her body. Because I was dealing with the fact that when I was in competitive dance, I was bulkier. I had a much more muscular back. My thighs were like crazy. I couldn't find jeans that fit. I couldn't find, shirts that looked nice. And boobs were still massive. I wasn't one of those people that muscle mesh shrank the boobs. Nope. So I was working that out. And that's the beautiful thing about role-playing games. And that's, the beautiful thing about having playable characters and, that you can customize to look like yourself or look like whatever you want if you so choose. I don't know what it says about me that my last Saints Row character looked more like Nicki Minaj, but I just love Nicki Minaj. Maybe that's all. She seems like somebody who'd just kick ass in Saints Row, wouldn't she? Like, Nicki Minaj is perfect for Saints Row. But, of course, then I had to use the cat backpack in Saints Row to look like Momo, and that's where I put myself in it. So you see, we put some of ourselves in characters, and no matter what you're doing, even if you're exploring by opposition, if you prefer to play as female for reasons, that's valid. But imagine if a girl like Ariel Winters tried to tell her story in games. think about the message that gaming would be sending her right now about where she fits or doesn't fit as a 17-year-old with 32F breasts. It's not pretty, is it? It's not pretty. And while we have plenty of space for noodly guys and overweight guys, and the character portrayals aren't necessarily flattering, but no one is claiming that noodly arm guys, skinny guys or fat guys or any kind of guy don't exist in the real world. And that is the difference. It is not a question of positive or negative portrayal. It is this idea that women of a certain chest size are inherently artificial that is the issue. It is a unique issue. It is. It's like Voldo in Soul Calibur. And incidentally, Voldo and Ivy Valentine, their costumes are very similar. Have a look. Same color scheme, same accents. That's done deliberately. Yep. Because a guy like Voldo is treated the same way by society as a woman like Ivy Valentine. As a freak! And that's what I'm sick of. That's what I'm sick of with all this false defense of women through nuking the boobs. Or what does V. Monroe say? Nerfing the tits? But that's the issue. And that's what we have to think about. Women like me are real. Women like Ariel Winter are real. And we shouldn't have to hack our breasts off for society to see us as real and authentic. That's my message. Much support to Ariel Winter. Love your work, girl. Think you're hilarious. Keep at it.